Big news this morning as Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada has been fired.
Things that you suggest are true. Our most recent performance, a component of it, but signs of September football kind of in some instances, and that's unacceptable, man. It's late November.
I was not expecting an active day in the NFL today, but boy was I wrong. Of course, I would like to blame the Mike going to the further gym curse, where every single time I visit this particular gym that's like 30 minutes away from me, big NFL news happens. And earlier on, we covered how the Indianapolis Colts cut Shaq Leonard, and now something that hasn't happened since 1941 happened. Something that could save the Pittsburgh Steelers season. Maybe. So before we get to the content, this is our fourth upload in a 24-hour span. I don't need your money. Just make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, for the last month and a half, I have plugged in the same freaking ad in each and every video to remind you guys that every single time PrizePicks does this, we end up making money. The last time it was with a Steph Curry free square. This time, it's for Thanksgiving, so we have a few days to lock this in. All Christian McCaffrey needs is 1 yard, which he's gonna get a yard in order for his square to convert, which means we only need to get 1 pick right in order to 3x our money, or 2 picks right to potentially 5x our money. I'm gonna post my picks onto my Instagram at The Flight Mike, and make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone to double your deposit up to $100 when you join PrizePicks. It's worth a shot because historically we have a great win percentage on this. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? There's always been something fairly strange about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense and the way the Pittsburgh Steelers have been winning games this year. It's almost as if the Pittsburgh Steelers are like the inverse LA Chargers, where the LA Chargers would put on these prolific offensive performances only to choke the game by 3 points, which they've done 7 times in the past year, which I think it's time for us to make a Brandon Staley video, so I think you're about to get that pretty soon. But in the case of the Steelers, they're always just eking out these wins by 1 score, like in week 2 against the Cleveland Browns, or the very next week against the Las Vegas Raiders, or 2 weeks later against the Baltimore Ravens. And mind you, these are good teams. The Baltimore Ravens have the best record in the AFC, and the Steelers are getting wins against them. They beat the Tennessee Titans by 4, the Packers by 4, and they lost to the Cleveland Browns by 3. Now, this hasn't been without its drama. A few weeks ago, George Pickens was a little frustrated by his performance, and I guess you could say that if you do come down with -1 yards, you have a right to be frustrated. To be honest, I think that was a gigantic nothing burger. But if there is one thing that I actually agreed with, it's that this way of winning was not sustainable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I have to admit, it was riveting to watch. So going back to a year ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers' offensive struggles were primarily blamed on one man in particular, Matt Canada. Now, Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was anything but a prolific play caller. To give you an idea, during his tenure as the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator, Matt Canada has had 0 games with 400 plus yards, 1 game with 300 plus passing yards, 2 games with 30 plus points, 7 games with 2 plus passing TDs, 27 games with 20 first downs or less, and 28 games with 20 points or less. It got so bad that last year when the Pittsburgh Steelers had a victory, Chris Boswell quite literally declared war on this guy. And if you take a look at the way this man dials up play calls, you could understand why it's so frustrating to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Some of the plays that he just designs are strange, and some of the touchdowns that the Steelers get are such by the skin of your teeth type touchdowns that you just don't even feel good after getting some of these touchdowns. And I guess the breaking point came when the Cleveland Browns faced off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Steelers only put up 10 points and they lost by 3. You can see that Najee Harris was just destroyed as a human being upon this loss.
It's a lot of stuff that just goes around. It just that you guys don't see. I guess I'm trying to say. I'm just at a point where it was just like, man, I'm just tired of this shit.
Now, I don't want to completely point the blame finger at Matt Canada for the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been struggling. There have been times where Kenny Pickett just completely misses reads, like him for some reason not looking at Deontay Johnson's way multiple times throughout the season. It's almost as if he's like allergic to throwing the football to Deontay Johnson. That aside, once you have the statistics that Matt Canada has put forth, once you have the entire offense being frustrated at Matt Canada, once you have Matt Canada quite literally being frustrated that his team scored a touchdown, when you combine all of those factors together, obviously there's a common denominator in this equation, and the solution to this problem is very, very simple. It's not a solution that Mike Tomlin was okay with, because I suppose Mike Tomlin is the type of person that likes to give as many chances as he possibly can to his offensive coordinators, but in today's NFL, your offensive coordinator is the engine that gets your team going. Most head coaches that are hired in today's NFL are hired because of some sort of revolutionary offense that they've run. I mean, Sean McVay a few years ago, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell. Whenever you're the offensive coordinator of a successful offense, a good chance you're going to be a head coach pretty soon, which is why the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson, is probably the hottest candidate to be hired as a brand new head coach this offseason. So Mike Tomlin finally made his decision, and it's a decision that Pittsburgh Steelers fans are ecstatic about. I mean, I can't wait to see Urinating Trees video on this because his Twitter's been on fire. According to Adam Schefter, history today in Pittsburgh. When the Steelers fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada today, it marked the first time they made an in-season coaching change since 1941. The last time the Steelers fired a head coach or coordinator mid-season was 1941 when the team's half-owner Burt Bell fired himself. This is such a wild way to present this information, but yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers officially fired Matt Canada. This was a no-brainer in my opinion. I mean, if you just look at some of his play calls, it's obvious that this man needed to be fired. I don't really know how he got the job to begin with. Is this going to solve all of the Pittsburgh Steelers problems? Well, no, but I'm expecting a decent improvement on the offensive end. I mean, I don't think it could have gotten much worse than what Matt Canada was doing. I couldn't look at that Pittsburgh Steelers offense at all and say,
Matt Canada does this really well.
some of his designs just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And when you're looking at the offense consistently being frustrated by the lack of progress they're making, it's a no-brainer. Mike Tomlin addressed the fact that he fired Matt Canada today as well, saying this.
Good afternoon. First, let's start with the news of the day. As I'm sure you guys already know, I made a change at the coordinator position. Did not come to this decision lightly, to be really transparent with you. It's just a personal belief of mine from a leadership perspective. It's my role to absorb and protect those that I work with. And this doesn't feel like that. Obviously, I'm not interested in assigning blame or deflecting in any way. It's more in my natural nature to absorb, to be quite honest with you. I've been in this role so long, I'm quite comfortable absorbing. So just rest assured that this decision was not taken lightly. I got a lot of respect for Matt personally and professionally. It was not easy. I thought it was necessary. This is a result-oriented business. And to be short, the improvements were not rapid enough or consistent enough for us to proceed. You got to score touchdowns in this business. You got to win games in this business. And just the totality of it has us where we are today. I am quite confident for the men who get an opportunity to evolve in terms of their roles. One man's misfortune in this business is another man's opportunity. We say that regarding injury. It's the same thing under these circumstances.
So at the end of the day, what do I think about this? Well, I'm sad that the man is out of a job, but he's made good money working a job that he was severely underqualified for. And hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers can figure out an offensive coordinator that could put Kenny Pickett into some situations to succeed. Because at this point, I don't really know how I feel about Kenny Pickett either. And I don't think he's been given a fair shot. Like in his rookie season, 63% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. His sophomore season, 61% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And while I would typically say that these are the statistics of a draft bust, I would like to see Kenny Pickett with a decent offensive coordinator before writing him off completely. I also believe that anytime you select a rookie quarterback with a first-round pick, you should ride out the entirety of his rookie scale contract, address other facets of your offense that need help, and in the case of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they need a lot of help, primarily on that offensive line. And then if after 4 years years, you don't see any improvement, then you get rid of him. Unless if he performs really well in his 4th year, then you sign him to a huge contract extension if you happen to be the New York Giants. But let me know in the comment section down below. I know Pittsburgh Steelers fans are ecstatic about this. Aside from that, I don't know if you guys missed it, but the Indianapolis Colts cut one of their best players today. We made a video on it a few hours ago. If you missed it, I'll leave it in the end screen. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.